Ready? Okay. New camera!
Yay!
New camera for post E3. We don't have our headsets on because we're not doing the video game playing. Which, for those of you who watch the show, this is the other angle of my office. Normally the laptop is behind us, looking at us.
Instead of on a table in the middle of the room.
Yes, so today we turned it around for E3 coverage.
Better lighting! Awesome!
Yes. Although we're
still both
this pale.
We are
in real
both
life.
this pale.
Yes.
There's no white balancing required. You're just so white. So today we're going to talk about Microsoft's press conference. Since they went first, we'll talk about them first.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about it in order. We'll do Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo.
Yeah, we'll do the big three. We might get to EA and Ubisoft and all the other publishers.
Well, I think what we'll do is maybe another video, or towards the end of the Nintendo video, we'll talk about everybody else.
All the other guys.
There's not a lot to talk about. Anyway. There's not a lot to talk about the other guys. That's what we're saying. There's not a lot.
I mean, most of what we saw from those guys was it was stuff that we saw out of Sony and Microsoft anyway.
CEO of Sony Computer Entertainment America.
Hand gestures.
Hands.
Yes.
He's actually a Jedi. He was
mind tricking everybody in the
group. No, you don't need the Last Guardian.
No.
Yes, these are the games you're looking for.
Okay. So anyway,
so Microsoft started doing something really cool I didn't expect them to do. Congratulating other game companies.
Yeah, and you know that's classy of them. Being is that they're not in dead last, but they're not in first.
When you're losing, you kind of have to take a humbler approach that Microsoft is just not used to taking.
And they straight up said at the beginning of their press conference is going to be, or right before it said wall-to-wall games.
Yeah,
and
it was this is going to be 100% games.
It was like 95%.
It was like 95%, but they were like, good.
I would take 95% over the like 35 that we got last year.
Yeah, it was weird that. Thinking back on it, they showed about as much games, as many titles as the other three showed. They just showed more of them.
Yes.
Like, they didn't take a break to talk about their NFL integration
or to do
DirecTV integration, whatever integration.
Yeah.
Like their guide, they didn't do it.
No. They straight up talked.
Slow clap for them.
Yeah.
You win points for focusing on games.
At a game trade show of all places. You know,
There's a dot on your monitor that is literally like right over my forehead, so I always think
you think it's like right here.
Yeah. As I keep doing this, I'm like, is there a bug on my forehead?
No.
Anyway,
it's just something on the screen.
The damn high fidelity of the new camera. I don't want to look this ugly. Anyway.
Well, you look that ugly anyway.
Put a graphic over my face. The troll face.
Just put a little happy face.
Yeah.
So, you know, good on them for talking about video games for a long, long time. They did have like a little bit in the middle where they were talking about their Halo stuff, where it was about their TV show or whatever. And I guess it comes bundled in with the Halo collection that they're
all on a disc. I'm betting that it's going to be one of those kind of like Forward Unto Dawn, the last one they did, where it was released episodically, but then released as a bunch.
Yeah, and it would probably be like that.
Which I wouldn't mind.
Which, you know, I was kind of disappointed. Like, we were both sitting there going, okay, so what's Microsoft going to show so we don't already know about? And the final count was what, like 3 games?
3 games that we did not know about.
Was it the Platinum game?
Platinum game.
Was that the Dragon?
That was Scalebound.
Scalebound, yeah.
Which looks like a Monster Hunter plus Monster Trainer.
Yeah, so Pokemon meets Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter Devil May Cry.
Yeah. But it was a pre-rendered trailer, so it wasn't like it was gameplay.
Which Xbox showed a lot of.
Yeah, it seems like they showed a lot of their stuff.
Xbox showed more than the other 2 publishers' pre-rendered trailers.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
There was not a lot of live gameplay except for that Assassin's Creed one.
The Assassin's Creed thing, and then that's where they... And then, yeah, in the Division. But in the Assassin's Creed, they showed off, hey, the new AC is going to have 4-player co-op.
Yes.
Which, that seems kind of cool. Like, as somebody who's played a lot of the Assassin's Creed and doesn't care for competitive multiplayer, co-op multiplayer seems really cool. And I think that's something that really would have made a lot of sense in like, Brotherhood, where you were recruiting assassins anyway. So why can't you play with them as other players? So that's kind of neat.
And the French Revolution is a neat time for Assassin's Creed anyway, just because so many people died during that time.
Yeah, and they're going to be like, oh, look, we can have all of these people be killed by assassins.
The whole establishment versus the Enlightenment people really plays into the Templar versus assassin mythology.
Yeah. And then that seemes like that's an awesome time, and
so
running around
Ubisoft for doing that.
Yeah, running around in what was that?
I would probably say, like, if you were to write, if I was like back when Assassin's Creed 2 came out, if they were to say, Andy, pick 3 periods in history to put Assassin's Creed's games, I would say, okay, definitely the Pirates of the Caribbean time.
Because that's a lot of fun.
No-brainer.
Ships. You can ride around. You can fly around.
Probably
Climb on ships all
westward
day.
expansion during United States history.
And
And
the only problem I can
number 3 would definitely be the French Revolution.
Yeah, the only problem I can see with like the West would be a lot of it's predicated on big buildings and dense urban areas, but
a
there's
lot of
not a
people
lot.
don't understand like how big San Francisco was during that time.
Yeah, oh,
You know,
okay. You're talking about like once we hit the coast. I thought you were talking about as we settled the West.
No.
Okay.
Well, but that's the point. Is we kind of bum rushed to the coast,
And then we
settled
went
in, and then
backwards.
filled the rest in. Yeah, I'm talking about during the filling the rest in 1940,
Mm-hmm.
1849ers,
There you go.
pre-Civil War era.
Gotcha.
You know, Benjamin Franklin said, we spent as much on the Louisiana Purchase as we did on San Francisco Bay. Having visited San Francisco Bay, I feel that we overpaid for the Louisiana Purchase.
Well, since that's where we live.
No,
Yeah.
please don't speak French.
No.
I'm getting a drink of water.
Okay. So we did, so we had all that stuff. And then their one last big reveal was the Tom Clancy game. It's, what is it?
Division.
Division. Rainbow Six.
Oh,
Siege.
That was on Ubisoft. You're talking about Ubisoft.
Oh, that was
Microsoft.
Okay, my bad. I'm getting them all confused because it was a first-person shooter and it didn't look very good.
That was the thing about Microsoft, Ubisoft, EA, PlayStation. They all seemed very similar.
Yeah,
very easy to get them mixed up.
Yeah, and that's my bad. We can talk about that later. But yeah, the Division.
I think it looks cool.
I mean,
think
it looks cool,
that's
but I just have.
I'm into that whole like persistent world shooter, like Destiny and Division.
Well, and Destiny is something that's definitely on my radar. Like, I want to get into the beta and try it out before it comes out because I'm not gonna drop $60 on something.
I need to face this way apparently. I keep wiggling out of the shot.
Oh no, you're fine. I'm like halfway out of it anyway.
I just spilled. Anyway.
Anyway,
did.
we did need bibs.
So the cool thing that I think Microsoft gets points for not doing the TV shit,
No, yeah, they.
recognizing their faults,
Yes.
and for digging into their back catalog, both with the Perfect Dust, which is 2015 maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
And
That's a lot of the problem that we have with a lot of the
the
games
Halo
this year.
collection.
Is some of it's like most of it is next year. So the very tiny amount of it for all three of the big three are
Although
next year sometime.
PlayStation did a good job of focusing on things, and Microsoft also did a good job on focusing on things that you'll be playing this holiday.
Yeah.
Microsoft, however, truncated it at a certain point and said, okay, now is the stuff for 2015.
This is everything.
It just happened the cooler stuff was in 2015
Yeah.
than now.
But I mean that happened with Sony too. Like, you have to be fair that there's a bunch of stuff that's coming out this year for Sony that is not as cool as what's coming out next year.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how it is most of the time with E3. It's always the stuff that's next year looks way awesome because it's not done yet.
Yeah.
And it's all promise and hopes and dreams.
And
And then reality comes crashing down next year and it's not. It's
I
probably not
think
as
a lot
good.
of Microsoft's thunder was stolen by that leak that they had
Earlier this year,
Earlier
yeah.
this year, they basically spelled out everything they were doing, so that like Crackdown wasn't a surprise.
No, it wasn't.
The Halo Collector's Edition wasn't a surprise,
No.
which you can tell they really wanted that to be the cornerstone of their.
They did. They wanted that
Their
to
press
be
conference.
their megaton or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever it was at the end of their show, and it really wasn't. Like we kind of knew it was coming.
Like,
they were coming up on the 10-year of Halo 2.
Yeah, I'm
so-
excited that like you can play all of the maps, all of the missions. It's all under one UI.
Yeah,
If you wanted to, you could set up a playlist of like all of the driving missions.
all of your favorite maps and stuff like that.
from Halo. Like that's cool compared to like the normal collector's editions we get, where it's just like, okay, boot into this game,
And
you
now
can't-
you're just basically playing this game on an
Yeah.
emulator.
and then boot back out, and then
Yeah.
boot into this game. Like since it's all under one hood, that's fun. That's great. It's not as big as they wanted it because that reveal was stolen from them, and then you
Yeah.
can tell they really wanted that Halo Guardians reveal for the beta arena match to be like the biggest thing ever.
Well, and you know what?
and you heard crickets
I
after it was announced.
Yeah,
They were like,
their plans
that
were
it?
going, and that's about it. Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, that's cool, right? Like, I'm always interested in them teasing, like, especially with the way these new consoles work. I think the idea of beta testing games on consoles
It's the new demo.
Great. Yeah, it's totally the new demo for these games because with even with last gen, like God of War Ascension had a beta period where you could play the multiplayer, and that was a lot of fun, and that was really cool to kind of see how that engine runs and kind of what the multiplayer was.
Never played the multiplayer after that.
No,
I bought
never.
the single player and played it like 8 times. Was like,
never
I
played
love God of War.
I think I might have put a couple hours into it because I was like, this is cool. I kind of like the Hades stuff, but other than that, no. But I think that that's something that's interesting, and if you are a big Halo fan, you will love it, and you will do whatever it takes to get into that beta.
Well, apparently what it takes is buying that game.
Yeah, all you got to do is buy that game, and you were going to buy that game anyway. Yeah. So now it's just like, it's an extra perk.
It's cool for those of you out there that, unlike me, don't hang on to your systems, trade them in, always for the new thing. So now you can go back and play the old Halo games. I just don't think that the younger demographic of Xbox players, the people playing Call of Duty now, are going to want to dump Call of Duty to play Halo.
Yeah, no. I don't think they're going to want to dump it, but I think if you have a person who, like a kid who started playing Call of Duty when Modern Warfare, the first Modern Warfare came out, like COD 4, whatever it was, say they were like 15 at that point, they're now in their late 20s, they may not have, or early 20s.
There you go.
I'm trying to think of how old that game really
2008.
is. So, yeah, it's been 6 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're in their early 20s. Maybe they want to play Halo. Maybe they don't want to buy an Xbox or an Xbox 360.
Maybe they never had the chance to go back and play Halo 1.
Halo 2. For $60, they get all this. And, oh, hey, look at that. You get into the multiplayer beta for the new Halo.
Yeah, that really should have been a big Megaton announcement. It was just stolen from them.
From
that leak. Same thing with Crackdown. Crackdown should have been like, oh my god, Crackdown's back.
Yeah,
but it wasn't.
No, because we all kind of heard about it months ago or weeks ago. And I think that's kind of a common theme across the board anyway, because we're not dumb as gamers. Like, we can kind of predict, hey,
what's coming.
We would like to see this, and we know that they're not going to give up on this franchise.
A buttload. Of course we're going to get another one.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through from the top.
What they talk
Call
about.
of Duty. The new Call of Duty still doesn't interest me.
No.
Even with the Kevin Spacey, even with all the new future tech.
Grenades with jetpacks.
There was a time, like, the scene where the guy got his arm cut, I was like, oh, cut his arm off. Like, that would be really cool. Like, go the extra mile. Make this really bloody. Make this really gory. Show that there is a price for this.
No.
Superhuman action. Which is what I think Call of Duty might
Although they did show,
really well.
They did show in the trailer, I don't know if you caught it or not, when the guy was getting dragged away, they did show an arm on the ground.
Yeah, but it was supposed to be his arm.
Yeah, because I'm guessing he's got a cybernetic arm in the rest of the game.
So the point where, like, Halo becomes Call of Duty is really getting blurred.
Yeah, it's not like, I mean, obviously
like, I really hate to say that, like, Killzone is ending up to be the more realistic shooter with, like, its far future space Nazis.
Yeah, well, far future space Nazis. Everybody hates the Nazis.
Weird.
Yeah.
Very weird. Okay, so next, Forza. Now, I feel like Forza wanted that Nürburgring announcement
to be a big deal,
really
right?
huge, but we already knew about it, and I feel like they wanted the big announcement to be that it's free, but I feel like that thunder just felt like it's free because you've already charged us for all these microtransactions, and you got huge blowback from it, so now you're wanting to make up for it.
Yeah, no, and you know, I'm not a big racing guy, and I don't know about you, but I'm not a big racing person. I've played a couple of Gran Turismos, and they're fun, whatever, but racing games just don't do anything for me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, it's a car.
The announcement of Forza Horizon 2,
which we already kind of knew about.
Which we already knew about because they've already talked about it on IGN. It's already had its release. It's going to be on the Xbox One, Xbox 360. I think the biggest thing was they didn't talk about Xbox 360.
No, they didn't.
They're basically like, that's done. We're done with that.
We're not.
Like, no price cut. We're done.
Yeah, nothing. A price cut probably wouldn't have been bad for that.
No.
But they're not. I don't think they can cut the price on it right now, especially since now all their Xbox 3 Ones don't have the Kinect then, or there is a SKU with an Xbox One without a Kinect,
which they also didn't talk about.
No, they didn't talk about that at all. Although Sony did get a pretty good dig in.
Sony's good at getting digs.
Yeah, they're pretty good at going, hey, we've done this.
I think it's kind of like the last generation. Sony, had to like take it on the chin and be like, very, very humble.
We've messed up. We're sorry.
Now that they're coming out on top, they're like, okay, let's give it back to these guys a bit.
Let's do this.
Okay, so next we have.
Can you not read your notes?
I can't read my notes.
Do you want me to read it?
Oh, and Dragon Age. I wrote Dragon Quest.
Yeah. So the new Dragon Age looks cool.
Again,
I don't.
I like it. I still like it. I'm still gonna play it. Like that's still on my to buy list.
Yeah, I don't think we saw. Did we? It was all pre-rendered, right? Or
no, that was gameplay.
There was gameplay.
That was when we saw
oh, that's right. They did have the gameplay, and you know it. I like Dragon Age Origins. Like that's the only game out of that series I've played so far. I mean, there's only 2, but it looks more like Origins, less like what I've seen of 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it had co-op, right? Like it had 4-player co-op. Is that what it is? Yeah. So that was the new thing they added to it, and that seems to be like a big theme for a lot of these developers now. Is all these systems can be
integration,
and you can totally play it 4-player co-op, or you can play it single player with your AI party.
Yeah, it's the premise we got with Watch Dogs, where the single player and the multiplayer will be seamless integration. People will drop in and out of your game.
Yep.
It didn't happen in Watch Dogs really, but so next, Sunset Overdrive, the only game that I wish was on a PlayStation console.
I don't know.
The only game
I don't want to say that because
I'm like, I want to play that.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, and we saw gameplay for that too, right? And it's like a third-person shooter, but it's
crazy
like
over the top. Like it's by the developers of Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
You can totally tell that it's by the developers of Ratchet and Clank.
It is Ratchet and Clank in a different universe where you're like this punk guy with a gun.
It is the Xbox version of Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, and it looks kind of cool. Like the premise is everybody's turned into a zombie by this crazy energy drink or something, and that's just silly. And it was neat. Like the trailer, we were looking at it and we're like, is this Hardline? Is this the new Battlefield thing? And then the dude comes busting in through the door and we're like,
makes fun of like Insomniac
cover shooter, huh?
Yeah, makes fun of the Xbox type games.
Yeah.
And the stereotypical Xbox.
It looks good. I'm not going to say it doesn't look good.
It looks real good.
I mean, yeah, it looks like it almost looks like.
I can't wait to play Sunset Overdrive 2 on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, I'm sure that's coming. Just like Titanfall 2 will be coming out. Yeah, so
So you talked about Fable.
I mentioned Fable. The Fable thing looks kind of cool.
The Fable looked cool, like
from a fifth player perspective.
Yeah. This is how Dungeon Keeper should have been on mobile. Like this looks really cool.
It is. So it's a 4-player co-op game, but there's a 5th player who acts like the dungeon master.
Yes.
And you get to lay out traps and monster spawns for the other 4 players. So
really
it kind of has like
cool.
the Miiverse thing that they had going on, where that 5th player has like an overworld view and can kind of
Okay.
So you can kind of see. You said it's just so cool looking. Like
Wait,
if I had an
2015.
Xbox One,
I don't think we got a date for that.
yeah, I'm assuming next year. Everything unless it said this year.
It said this year,
next year.
2015.
Yeah.
So next, the poor Harmonix guy got tried.
Oh man, he was out. He's like, hey, we're bringing more Dance Central.
There's Fantasia, Disney's Fantasia.
Yeah, there's more Dance
Central
games
online, and you can use your Kinect with it. And like, didn't even have a stage demo.
Nothing.
Didn't have
just had him come out. They kind of showed a little bit, and that was it.
They were like,
they're done.
We know. I think that was Microsoft's tip of the hat to like.
Here's their Kinect development. I don't even think they said Kinect.
Kinect development is happening, but
other than that guy saying Kinect, I don't think Kinect was even mentioned.
No.
Like. And
Lee Alexander said, Xbox better with Kinect. Never mind.
No. And
and now everything's better without Kinect.
Yeah, and
especially processing power.
Yeah, with another like 10 or something % of processing power that they can access.
Okay, so Project Spark came out, and like that was really cool.
That looks
Project
really
Spark
neat.
was cool. We saw pre-rendered stuff. It was a really cool trailer. And then Conquer came out, and I was like, oh, "There's a new Conquer game."
And no,
it's
not a new Conquer. Well, it is a new Conquer game. It's made in Spark.
There was a Conquer tile set for Spark,
so you can make your own Conquer game. As long as you can make an operatic poo monster, I'm in.
I mean,
who wants sweet corn?
It was kind of like Conquer in. They always said they didn't. Conquer in Project Spark. Why? Because. That's why. That's why.
Because we're not going to spend real money on this.
We're not going to spend real money on a Conquer game. Are you guys crazy?
So yeah, that looks kind of cool, and the fact that I'd like to think, I don't know if this is going to happen, and I don't even know if this is something that they're planning, but I want to say, since you can do it on the PC as well as your Xbox One, you can make games on the PC, and then they will be able to be played since it is the same engine, more or less. So that could make for some really cool stuff, and it would allow you to put in your own voice work and models and things like that that you make using third-party.
So next up was Ori and the Black Forest,
Which that was
Forest.
That was one of the games that we hadn't heard of.
We hadn't heard of it. It took me surprise, and it's a game I would want to play.
Yeah, it kind of.
It looked like not Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, that's kind of what
the little guy.
Yeah, but then we don't know what's going on.
And there was a big owl raven coming over him. I was like, that looks really cool. Like this looks good.
And I felt bad for the little white fox thing because that was.
But we don't know. Is it only on Xbox? When is it coming out? It was basically a trailer.
Yeah, it was a trailer for a game.
And then they were like, forget that, Halo.
Yeah, and then they talked about Halo for 25 minutes.
So then they talked about Inside, which is the new game from the Limbo developers, which is going to have timed exclusivity on Xbox.
So a couple of months, and then it'll be out on everything else.
So it'll be like the reverse of every other indie title that was shown off at E3, where it comes out on the PlayStation 3 for a month, and then goes to Xbox.
Yeah,
Inside's going to come out on Xbox, and then go to PlayStation.
There's a lot of stuff in Microsoft's Precon. Overall,
they showed indies, really, even though it was just a trailer, at least it was there.
Yeah, and they don't have the deep indie support that Sony has at this point, but at least they're working on getting it. You know, and it is nice.
And that Cuphead game looks awesome sauce. The one that looked like an old Disney animated short. You look it up later.
Yeah. I'll look it up later.
So then they were like, okay, so old franchises are coming back. Phantom Dusk, which is from the original Xbox, which is a card-based battle RPG. Which
I never understood card games on, I don't understand why you would want to play.
But it's cool that they're digging. I don't care. It's cool that they're digging into their older IP.
Yeah, I mean, and all we saw was the trailer for it, right? So for as far as we know, this could be like a turn-based
or it could be like a total reimagining of the world, and we're going to make it an action.
I'm just saying, card games in general on the consoles confuse me because it's like if I wanted to play cards, I would have cards. But you can do some cool stuff. Like Hearthstone is pretty neat, but that has nothing to do with this.
Anyway, so then we saw what they wanted to be a big reveal. Platinum Games is Hideki Kamiya. I think it was Hideki Kamiya. Coming out and saying Scalebound.
Yeah.
2015-ish.
Nothing.
No release date. Nothing. Pre-rendered trailer with weird dubsteppy dude fighting a dragon.
Yeah. I mean, he was like running for the forest, being chased by something, and then he runs up on the second dragon, gives him a wink, and then the dragon starts fighting the dragon.
And then it's like Devil May Cry meets Monster Hunter.
And then and the dragon's totally just setting you up so that you can kill this other thing that's chasing you.
It was a wink to Japanese development.
And it's really good because
Microsoft never does a big thing at TGS.
They kind of need the support of everybody who's not in America.
Yeah, it turns
out they need Europe, they need Japan.
It turns out that if you're not the leading seller in America anymore, you really do need the other territories.
Yeah.
Like PlayStation needed them last generation.
Even a little bit. Well, I mean, Sony always had Europe. So.
Yeah, then we saw the new Crackdown. And Crackdown continues to be a pre-rendered trailer, but Crackdown continues to be Crackdown.
Yeah. I've never played a Crackdown game.
Really?
Never.
They're fun.
No. I don't know. Maybe
if I played Saints Row Saints Row 4?
Saints Row, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
that.
Crackdown. Okay. So it's just Saints Row.
Saints Row 4 is Crackdown.
Okay.
Like superhuman jumping ability and flying ability.
Awesome. Cool.
And you could tell they really wanted that to be their big
reveal
hurrah at the end of the press conference, but we already knew what was happening. Yeah. And stuff screens had leaked. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and leaks happened everywhere.
Here we go. Here's the grade. Microsoft, congratulations. You did much better than last year.
Yes.
It would have been hard to do worse.
Really hard to do worse.
So you did much better. But that means you only did okay. You did what we expect from an E3 press conference.
Yeah, and you should.
I think you could have even done TV shit and video shit.
Just a little bit, not a lot. Don't go overboard like you did last year.
Like you could have, in that press conference, you could have axed some of that stuff and done. Maybe we didn't need to hear all about Forza.
Yeah.
You could have done some of that other stuff and talked about your media stuff.
Yes.
And it would have been okay. That's the B-level press conference is what you showed us.
Which is way better than the low C, high D maybe we had last year.
Yeah, someone on Twitter said they went from to okay in about a year.
Yeah. Well, and that means maybe next year it'll be just badass. But
yeah.
or it'll be more
you didn't sell me an Xbox One. What you did was show me games that I would want to play that happen to be on Xbox One. You did what Nintendo does. You show me games I want to play,
but
not on a system I don't want to buy.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. And that's
So that's congratulations. That's what you're supposed to do. You
just
can
need
also go the next step and show me a system I want to buy
with
and
games I want to play
play
on it. Yeah, yeah. They didn't sell either of us on an Xbox One. Mostly that's because our wives know we already bought PS4s.
And I don't think they sold. I don't think anyone walked out of that press conference going, "I really need to buy an Xbox."
I gotta buy one right now. No, I would definitely
Xbox is
not.
where I need to be. But like to do that, you really need to have like a S-class press conference like
Yeah.
Sony had last year. And there's just the stars need to align. That doesn't always happen.
So yeah, I mean, it was a good press conference. It was a good way to kill
Thumbs up.
like what, an hour and a half.
Yep.
It wasn't super long, and it didn't feel super long. Like there was a bit.
There was no dragging.
No, there was a little bit of dragging in somebody else's and a couple of the other ones, but
Yes.
it was pretty good. Like,
Yes.
it was a good hour and a half way to learn about the Xbox.
Yep.
So
Like I thumbs up, pat on the back to everyone at Microsoft. You did a good job.
And Phil Spencer couldn't have turned it around any faster than he can.
Yes. You had a feeling that like he came on, he shuffled stuff around, tried to
Yeah.
get stuff together.
There's
But
only so
you know
much
what?
you can do in a couple of months.
Sometimes all you need to do is punch the clock for 8 hours, do your job,
Yep.
and go home.
Yep.
Sometimes that's enough. And congratulations, Microsoft. That was enough. You did a good job.
You did an acceptable job.
Claps to everybody.
Yep.
You got a C. You passed. Here's your diploma. We want to see more next year.
More stuff next year, and more stuff at Gamescom. More stuff at Tokyo Game Show.
Yes. And the problem with showing games is that you're not selling all of those games. You're selling the system that plays those games. So
But-
you
but-
need to pimp that too.
Yeah, but they already announced the price cut or the,
Yes.
the reduction in
So
price.
you should have at
for the
least,
Black
like,
Friday.
Mentioned it.
I mean, like, hey, now
Said
you
it.
can, at the very end said, hey, you can get your Xbox Ones for $399 without a Kinect.
Put it up, Xbox One starting at $399 plays The Division.
Or all this.
Or at the end of all those
At the
damn
very end.
trailers you showed where it pops
At
to
the end of the
Xbox
sizzle
One.
reel,
Yeah,
right? Like at
when
the end.
every trailer they showed popped to the end of the Xbox One logo. When that thing pops up,
$399.
$399.
Now
Like, that's all you
$399.
need to do. Starting at $399. That would have been enough. And we wouldn't have mentioned it.
Nope.
So, but good on you, and we feel bad for the Harmonix guys because they're really good. They make good games.
Yeah. So we will see you guys next time for Sony. Okay.